So you can see why the seed of self-hatred is planted in the minds of the black man.
There with an 8 ball of cocaine, which he gave to
professor.
me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass-sized type packet of crack cocaine from his pocket.
Who became one of
Obama
my
then
favorite
smoked the
professors
crack cocaine.
and was a great guy.
I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine. After which, I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, in Illinois.
Empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group, so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
We spend a lot of time about what it does to us, but we got to look at it because I've told you before, every maladaptive characteristic in the black psyche is there for white folk. And it's not purely there because they hate you, or they misunderstand you, or they don't know who you are, what you're. It has nothing to do with all of that. I tell people, when you analyze the so-called aberrations in the black personality, you must always ask the question, what are their social functions and role? Who benefits from this aberration in the black man's mind? What is the social and political and economic benefits, and for whom? Who gains from this particular orientation in our minds? And then you begin to see why it's there and what its function is. And so every complaint we have about ourselves has a political, economic, and social intent beneficial to white folk.
We're still kind of getting used to being recognized for just doing things that have really kind of come naturally, like loving your kids as they are, which is...
and detrimental to ourselves. And that means then, somewhere along the way, we became possessed by these orientations, and they were implanted in our personalities. We have come to identify with them as our natural selves, as our natural orientation.
This is what I mean by that. This is what I mean
black man coming into the new
old
world.
Old school. And
we have assumed that they represent who we are. And we have now then found many ingenious ways to defend the demons that possess us. And ultimately then, those demons destroy us and have us destroy others like ourselves. There's another form of possession we call lucid possession. In this sense, the person at least has a sense of self, and they have the sense that there's another spirit in them. And they struggle with that spirit, sometimes losing the battle every now and then. They become obsessed with their struggle, with their spirit. And in a sense then are disenabled by that struggle. So some of us are in that state. We're not quite satisfied with the identity we have. We know somehow that there's a deeper African self in us. We're also aware that there's a Eurocentrically implanted demon in us, and we wrestle with it daily. There's another type of possession we talk about here, and that's spontaneous, what has sort of occurred spontaneously against our will. This is in contrast to one we talk about as artificial, one deliberately created. What do we mean by that? When we go into a particular social setting, such as a church or such as a rock concert or the like, and we go through a set of rituals and behavior, we go there and go through these behaviors and rituals and songs and dance as a mean of deliberately being possessed by what? The Spirit. And having our bodies taken over and being possessed, and then we say, we feel what? The Spirit. We feel the Spirit living within us. And so consequently, much of our life is about provoking through artificial means spirits which take over us and assume control of our behavior. Latent possession means when we are possessed and we don't even know that we are possessed. And I think that defines a lot of us. We're not even aware, and those are the hardest ones to break through because they don't sense any kind of split within the personality. They and their possessing spirit are one and the same. And when you try to exorcise their possessive spirit, they feel as if you are attacking them personally. And in defending their person, they defend the spirit that possesses them.
You hate your spouse and you hate people and you hate...
Now, listen, being a black woman in America is already a challenge. Kelly says, I'm gonna be black, woman, and queer, honey, and y'all gonna get all this greatness, and I am here for it.
Let's be a little more concrete, and I want to just give you an example of what I mean by this. You know, and in the literature, we talk about these spirits as what we call the incubi and the succubi. The spirit that lies in the body or lies on the body, the incubus, and the one that lies under the spirit, the succubus. When we talk about this spirit, though, that possesses us, when we talk about this spirit that the European implanted in us in terms of the language, in terms of the food, in terms of the religion, in terms of the values, in terms of the social relations, in terms of the name, we are talking about a spirit that's just not a spookish entity in ourselves. It actually incarnates in us. What do we talk when we talk about incarnate? We are dealing with the Latin root carnes, which has to do with what? Meat, flesh. In other words, the spirit comes to dwell in our very flesh and comes to sculpt our very bodies. And therefore, the spirit is a physical thing as much as it is a psychological thing. The bodies that we have tonight, ladies and gentlemen, are bodies that have been created by the European experience and are not our natural bodies as African people. Just as the surface of our bodies reflect the influence of another people, the very internal nature and the physiology of our bodies reflect those people as well. That's why when you get rid of them, you're going to have a healing experience. Your whole body will change. I've read some of this before, but let me read it again, I think, in this context. This is most dramatic, and the things I'm talking about are most dramatic when we study the so-called multiple personality. And let me read you a description here that was printed in the Times. And those who might be familiar with it, indulge me here, because I think it points out to something. It begins, when Timmy drinks orange juice, he has no problem. But Timmy is just one of close to a dozen personalities who alternate control over a patient with multiple personality disorder. And if those other personalities drink orange juice, the result is a case of Hyde. What are we saying here? We got one body, but depending on what consciousness possesses that body will react to the drinking of orange juice with or without hives. It will break out in blisters. So if it drinks orange juice when one of the other personalities is possessing it, welts and hives will break out right there. If Timmy comes back, if the new consciousness comes back and takes over that body, the hives will disappear almost on the moment. In other words, then, there's a different body for a different consciousness.